If you're new to the rotisserie chicken game, how do you know which chicken to choose? Fear not. There are a few surefire tips and tricks, as well as do's and don'ts, for getting the best bird for your buck. It's normal for some juice to escape rotisserie chickens as they wait for grocery shoppers to choose them, but there's a difference between a few drops of natural juices and pooling juices underneath the bird. Some juice escapes from sticking a thermometer into the meat to ensure it's done before putting it on display. However, juice can also escape when a chicken is plumped before cooking. In the plumping process, a mix of mostly water and saline is injected into the chicken to make it bigger, heavier, more appetizing, and to keep it juicy when cooking. But when plumped chicken gets cooked, most of that liquid escapes, ending up in the bottom of the tray. Aside from not looking very appealing, this pooled liquid can make the bottom of your rotisserie chicken super soggy, which defeats the purpose of roasting it to get that crispy brown skin you expect.
No soggy bottom.
Some grocery stores use an absorbent pad underneath their rotisserie chickens to absorb any escaping juices, which could help prevent the problem of soggy skin. When you're choosing between rotisserie chickens at the grocery store, you probably gravitate more toward those with browned skin, which is a good sign that the skin is crisp and flavorful. But there are a couple of other points to consider with chicken skin that you might not have thought about before. One is skin shriveling. This can be a sign that a chicken has been held in the display case for a long time. When chicken overstays its welcome in the holding unit, it tends to dry out, resulting in shriveled skin and most likely dry meat underneath. Instead, the skin should be relatively smooth and taut. Another potential problem is uneven skin color. That browned skin you're looking for should be present all over the chicken, rather than in just a few places or on one side of the chicken. Uneven skin color can be a sign that the rotisserie oven was packed too tightly or not turning properly while cooking. You don't want to end up with unevenly cooked chicken. Most grocery stores have strict rules about how long they can leave cooked rotisserie chickens in their display cases. For example, one Redditor, who's also someone who makes rotisserie chickens at their store, says they aren't allowed to keep their chickens in the case for longer than 2 hours. Each store is different, of course, but you don't need to know the rules for every one. That's because rotisserie chickens typically have a timestamp on them to show customers when they came out of the oven. That way, you know how old the chicken is and can decide for yourself whether you'd like to wait for a fresher one. The timestamps are usually located on a label, either on top or at the bottom of the plastic container. Whether the chicken is being kept at safe temperatures in the display case is obviously the most important factor, but chickens that sit for longer could end up drying out over time. For many shoppers, when it comes to finding the right rotisserie chicken, size matters.
That's rotisserie heaven.
However, whether you want a smaller or larger bird comes down to personal preference. Let's consider a few pros and cons of each. Some customers swear that smaller birds are more flavorful. For instance, one Redditor says, "I always pick a smaller one that's less than normal price. I know everyone likes the big Franken chicken, but the small birds are so much more flavorful."
I don't know, I think they're kinda cute.
And if you only need chicken for 1 or 2 people, a smaller chicken will probably do just fine. Of course, because you're buying less chicken, you might pay less if it's priced per pound. On the other hand, some customers go straight for larger birds, especially if the store you're buying from prices all of its rotisserie chickens the same, regardless of how much they weigh. For example, Costco prices them all at $4.99. So if you're paying the same amount for a small or large chicken, you might as well grab the bigger one, right? One Redditor does just that, saying, "I look for the one that is pressing against the clear plastic package top. More bang for my buck. Throw it in the fridge for a bit, then tear it to pieces." Of course, some people feel that a larger chicken is usually drier because it takes longer to cook. Ultimately, it's your choice. Perhaps there's a taste test in your future. Rotisserie chicken from different stores tastes surprisingly different. If you compare rotisserie chickens from Walmart and Costco, for example, you might like the flavor of one more than the other, even if their juiciness and texture are similar. That's because stores make rotisserie chicken using unique seasoning blends and processes that make their birds stand out from the rest. However, some stores may add ingredients to their chickens that you don't like or can't have, such as spices you're allergic to.
They're tasty, convenient, and inexpensive, but you might be surprised to learn what goes into some rotisserie chickens, literally.
Although you might not think to read the ingredient label of a rotisserie chicken before you buy it, we recommend doing so to avoid spending your money on something you can't eat. Also, while some stores plump their chickens before cooking them, others stay away from this practice. Plumped chickens tend to have high sodium content because they're injected with saline. However, heavily seasoned chickens might also have a high sodium level because of salt added to the skin.
Grocery stores are adding sugar, they're adding sodium, they're adding things like MSG, caramel colors.
The bottom line is, it's important to check the ingredient label if you're watching your sodium intake. If you've ever roasted a whole chicken in the oven, you've probably witnessed the legs pulling away from the chicken as it nears its cooking time. This isn't usually a bad thing. After all, many people mention that the ultimate goal for their cooked chicken is to have the meat falling off the bones, which means it's tender and juicy. That's great if you know that your chicken is right out of the oven fresh. However, rotisserie chickens can sit in their display cabinets waiting for customers to grab them for a couple of hours. If their legs started splitting from the chicken while cooking, they might sit like that for another hour or two until you buy it. When the legs split from the body, it typically breaks the crispy skin, which acts as a protective layer for the meat underneath. During that time, juices can leak out, and the heat lamps could dry out the chicken. Unless the timestamp on a rotisserie chicken is within the last few minutes, you might want to look for birds with their legs still comfortably intact, just to be on the safe side. Are you buying rotisserie chicken to make your casserole or soup dish easier? Rotisserie chicken is incredibly convenient for no-fuss dinners that call for shredded chicken. Pick one up from the store, bring it home, and spend a few minutes shredding it in your kitchen to have dinner on the table as quickly as possible. When it comes to meals that use shredded chicken, getting the freshest bird isn't usually necessary. If you're going to add the chicken into other ingredients, there's a good chance that the sauces or liquids you add to your dish will keep the chicken from drying out, even if it's been sitting under a heat lamp for a few hours at the store.
You don't have to cook it. You can just assemble it.
That means you don't have to be as picky when choosing your rotisserie chicken. As a bonus, you might even be able to save a few dollars if you can find soon-to-expire rotisserie chicken that the store is selling at a discount. Have you ever walked up to the rotisserie chicken counter and seen people waiting, even though there are several chickens waiting to be purchased? There are no rules saying you can't wait around for a hot, fresh rotisserie chicken if that's what you prefer. And if you're planning to eat it when you get home, it might be a good idea to wait on that fresh chicken to ensure that it's still hot and juicy when you're ready to eat.
All my dad had to do was put it on the cutting board and cut it, and we can eat it.
Just don't be someone who grabs chickens from the hot case, does the rest of your shopping, then comes back to trade those chickens for fresh ones when you see them coming out of the rotisserie oven. When customers do this, the employees have to throw the older chicken away or repurpose them, essentially wasting food that other customers could have bought. One warehouse store employee commented on Reddit about a recent spike in the number of members who scoop up 10 or more rotisserie chickens, shop, then switch them all out for fresh birds. The Redditor writes, "At that point, they're an unsafe temperature to sell, and I have to throw them into the bone barrel that is superheated into animal food slop. I end up running out of chickens and having a ridiculous amount of waste." In short, waiting for fresh off the rotisserie chicken is acceptable, but wasting food by chicken swapping is definitely not a good habit to start. It's difficult for stores to predict how much rotisserie chicken their customers will buy each day, so it's not uncommon for there to be more cooked than necessary. When that happens, the holding units become overloaded. Although some of that chicken gets turned into other ready-to-eat items like chicken salad, chicken sandwiches, or soups, the leftovers might go to waste if they aren't bought. To curb food waste, stores sometimes discount their rotisserie chicken if they're coming close to their expiration time. You'll typically see this marked with a special tag for $1 off or more. In fact, we've seen a few stores discount their rotisserie chickens by $3 or $4, especially if it's close to closing time. If you plan to use your chicken today, or you're going to freeze it, buying discounted rotisserie chicken could save you money. Just ensure that the cashier rings in your discount when you check out. We've bought our fair share of rotisserie chicken from our favorite grocery stores over the years. If there's one thing we can confidently say, it's that mistakes happen. We've seen plenty of labels marked incorrectly for one reason or another, but labels are there for a reason, so we like to double check them, especially when it comes to our food. One thing we always check on rotisserie chicken before buying it is the pricing area on the label. We look for both the per pound pricing and the final price. If stores have a set price, it's still important to check the label. It can be easy for workers to accidentally hit the wrong button on a computer when labeling, and that little mistake could translate into you spending more money on your rotisserie chicken. The good news is that if you check before buying your bird, you can always ask an employee behind the counter for a new label that reflects the correct pricing. Then you won't have to worry about trying to get a refund after spotting the price mistake on your receipt. Any kitchen that prepares food for the public is required to meet cleaning and sanitizing standards. Federal, state, and local agencies put strict regulations in place for kitchens and food prep areas. And there's no exception for grocery stores that cook ready-to-eat foods in store, like rotisserie chicken. It's a good idea for customers to know what to look for in a safe, healthy kitchen before buying a rotisserie chicken. In just a few seconds, you should be able to tell whether the store uses proper cleaning and sanitizing methods to keep your food as safe as possible. First, if you can see the dishwashing area, check if employees are thoroughly rinsing, scrubbing, and washing the dishes and equipment. After being washed, the dishes should be placed in a sanitizer bath or unit and then allowed to dry. Next, look for consistent cleaning and sanitization of food prep areas, like counters and cutting boards. Also, uncooked foods should never come near ready-to-eat foods, like fruits and vegetables. Finally, check if the employees are maintaining safe food handling practices, like wearing hairnets and gloves and washing their hands frequently.